What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or as you all may know me as Game Over Jesse, and today I have a really awesome guest here with me to talk a little bit about Breath of the Wild. So, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for those that may not know who you are?
All right, well, hey guys, how's everybody doing? I'm Miss Click, or you can call me Miss. I started streaming on Twitch as of November last year, and then I slowly transitioned over to YouTube as well. So I love streaming all things Nintendo and obviously Zelda, but I play some other games too, FPS, multiplayers, good stuff like that. So I'm happy to be here, and it's a pleasure.
Today we're going to talk about DLC for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. We know it's going to be coming. Aonuma has gave us an understanding of what to expect. He said something along the lines of, before Breath of the Wild released, he loved the world that he had already created, but he felt that he hadn't filled it in as much as he could have. So he wants to go in and add more to the world that he's built. I know a lot of people would love to see like a return to Termina or a new land to discover, but going from what he's saying, he's just going to be adding to some of the more empty areas, or who knows, he could even add a new island or something to explore. What's your experience been with Breath of the Wild? And what would you add to it if you could pick the DLC?
Oh gosh. Okay, so my experience with Breath of the Wild has probably been just like everybody else's, which is it's completely breathtaking. But sorry, that was corny. I think the game is exactly what Nintendo needed to show that they can really provide a genuine and up-to-date game with their own art style and their own artistry and their own heart put into the game. So people literally have 200 hours into the game and they're still playing, they're still cooking, they're still exploring, they're still climbing. I think that it's extremely awesome, and the fact that you can take it with you, I think the Switch has been a really nice change up for that. And then also for DLC, I would love if I don't know, maybe it's just because I want a new Animal Crossing really bad. I would love to have obviously more quests added in, which is going to be a thing, probably more than definitely. But then also, to see more development between Link and Zelda and the other characters. Maybe have Impa come out of her house. Like different interactions, and to get to see different sides of the character that maybe you wouldn't have outside of the stress of Calamity Ganon. So I'm looking forward to that.
It's something that I would really like to see, and they wouldn't necessarily have to bring in the voice actors again to do that. If you were able to, like if the DLC was somehow you went back in the past, or just let you replay through Link and Zelda's quest while they were first creating those memories, I think that would be really great. I would like to see more side quests. I really like the side quests in Breath of the Wild, but I felt they weren't up to the standard of Majora's Mask. Like, the whole Terrytown quest was really great. If you've played that, Miss Click?
Halfway through, I think. It's a very long quest.
Yeah, so I would say it's one of the bigger, if not the biggest and most important side quest in Breath of the Wild. And there's a lot of different interactions that go with it. It reminded me a lot of some of the quests in Majora's Mask, which was one of my favorite Zelda games. If they were able to bring in more meaningful side quests like that, I would really like it. But another thing that we know is going to be a part of the DLC is a new dungeon. But we don't know if it's going to be a return to traditional themed dungeons of the past, like the Forest Temple, Fire Temple, Water Temple, or if it's going to be like a fifth divine beast. We don't really know what type of dungeon it's going to be. So what are your hopes for the dungeon?
Oof. I think as long as they avoid Zelda getting into trouble again, you have to go rescue her. Kind of like, I don't want to say Phantom Hourglass, but Phantom Hourglass, like she turns into this completely BA character and goes back to Tetra, and she knows all this danger, and then she gets stuck again. Yeah. So I kind of feel like that was a DLC in a way, but I loved Phantom Hourglass, so I'm not going to hate on it. But I would love for the dungeon to, I don't know, I think mainly just building on what I said earlier, it's just developing the characters, and perhaps Link and Zelda can save it together, So if it's one of those things, or maybe it is, you know, a dungeon that's maybe not the traditional way. So maybe it is a big giant quest, almost like Terrytown, but not exactly, to where it's not in an enclosed area, but it's something like you're having to rebuild Hyrule. And in order to do that, you need to solve this puzzle.
That would be really cool. In past Zelda games, in Ocarina of Time specifically, the Shadow Temple had a huge focus on the Sheikah. Just running through the bottom of the well and then talking to the different people in Kakariko Village, you learn so much about the Sheikah, even though there's only like one actual Sheik member in that game. So it was really cool how they did that. And with this game having such a huge focus on the Sheikah, I would hope something like Shadow Temple-y would be a dungeon. But one of the complaints that I've been hearing about Breath of the Wild is just people missing that feel of the old dungeons, like the Forest Temple, Shadow Temple, Fire Temple, and everything.
Themed temples, yeah.
Yeah, so if they could somehow bring one of the end game type dungeons to Breath of the Wild, like whenever you play the very last dungeon, Ganon's Castle and Ocarina of Time, there's all of the different mini dungeons in it. Like there's the mini dungeon that represents the Forest Temple and all of them.
Right.
In Majora's Mask, the Stone Tower Temple has rooms where you have to use all 3 of the different masks. So if this new dungeon in Breath of the Wild could somehow incorporate little mini dungeons as part of it, similar to past Zelda games, I think that would be a great way to please those fans that was missing that, because I think adding something identical to what we already have, like if they just dropped a 5th Divine Beast, I don't really know how that would work into the story. Alternatively, they could have another castle or do something with the what are they called? I keep forgetting their name. I keep wanting to call them like the Sheikah defectors or whatever.
Can I just say, if there's one thing, the one thing I have a little nitpick on is the fact that the Yiga literally could have been so incredibly menacing, and instead they turned into almost like a comedic relief a little bit. It was a cool twist because the whole stealth aspect. I mean, I tried going in, you know, guns blazing. It didn't end up well, so I ended up stealthing it, and that makes me nervous as crap. But, you know, like, so that I felt like the adventure inside their hideout was, you know, like kind of like, oh, terrifying. You felt like, you know, you were in the stealth Wind Waker all over again, hiding in barrels. You know, but then all of a sudden you find out they love bananas, and then their leader is just this big Uncle Iroh dopey type guy. You know,
really,
it was like
bananas.
Yeah, you know, so maybe they can do something to where like there was actually like a puppet master behind it all.
Yeah, you know? I would really like to see them do a bit more with them, because it's interesting that like they're disguised as some of the regular NPCs. Then they have their own.
Me. Oh man, so scary.
Like I was playing earlier during the live stream, and there was a moment where there was a Gerudo walking by herself, not even close to the Gerudo Desert. And when she walks by, her speech bubble says, what was it? It said something like...
I think it said Hylians are great folk or something like that.
Yeah, it said Hylians are totally great folk. And I was like, that seems a little bit too casual. Like, she's hiding something. So I went and talked to her, and it was just a normal NPC. And to me, it was like whenever someone's trying to not look suspicious, so they're just whistling. Like, that's totally what it was, but I was completely wrong. So it's cool how they act as the different NPCs. The stealth mission and the mini dungeon was kind of cool. But I would love to see, like, a real big baddie boss and an actual dungeon. So maybe it could be something like that. Aside from the DLC, with the next Zelda game, if we can talk about that. I want to thank you all for watching this video, and welcome to the End Slate. If you're a fan of these videos, you can follow me on Twitter for updates on future videos at GameOverJesse. Please subscribe, like, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you would like to watch even more of my videos, click the video to the left or let me know what types of videos you would like to see in the future. I would like to take the rest of this time to thank all of my Patreon supporters. If you're a fan of this channel and would also like to help us out by becoming a Patreon supporter and get some awesome rewards for yourself, like being a part of my videos, shoutouts, custom avatars, giveaways, being added to our private Discord to chat during live streams, and more, please visit patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where even smaller supporters at the $1 level will get you some awesome stuff. Finally, a huge thank you to this month's supporters: George Says Hi, Link Uses the Triforce, Transcendent Sacred Courage, Glenn Cassio, Prey Warrior, Lunarium, Chris Gasperin, Harris Priest, Lovable Christie, Key of Time 15, Jerome Measure, Daryl Quinnen, Furzin 16, Kadron, Magic Tech Review, and the Itch Network.